Get on, sir. Hey guys, Level Cap here, and today I want to give you my early review of Black Ops 4 Blackout game mode. This won't be a full review of the Black Ops 4 game, but just what I think about the new Blackout game mode. Also, I play on PC, so some of my control and performance feedback might be different from what you experience on a console. Let's start off by talking about the massive challenge that Blackout has, or had anyway. Basically, Fortnite and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds had defined the Battle Royale genre, and they had already built up a massive player base. So coming out with a new Battle Royale and saying, hey, come play ours instead of these other ones that have already built up a huge player base is a pretty tall task. But they've managed to do it, and they've already dethroned PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds on Twitch in terms of popularity. And Blackout hasn't done this just because Activision has a massive marketing budget or it has a massive COD fan base already built up. They've done this because their game mode is significantly better than what's already out there. And it appeals to their current fan base as well as people who haven't picked up a COD game in years. Take me, for example. I've long since burned out on the twitchy, chaotic multiplayer gameplay from the COD series. I can respect it, but it's just not what I'm looking for in a multiplayer game these days. But Blackout takes some of the well-refined movement mechanics and gunplay and puts it into an entirely different world. Sure, twitchy mechanics are still there to an extent, but so is strategy and heart-poundingly intense moments. And most of all, there's an adventure there. A giant open-world map with vehicles, zombies, skyscrapers, forests, and deserts all provide a huge variety and different journey each time you play. One really cool update since the beta is the inclusion of quest-like objectives. You might be looting a crate and find a little note or item that contains a set of objectives that you need to complete in that game in order to unlock a new character skin. Usually the objectives aren't too difficult and shouldn't force you to alter your gameplay too drastically in order to complete them. And having a really interesting progression system in a battle royale game is a welcome addition. Character skins will also unlock based on your overall level, so you'll be able to show off your status in game that's not related to how many crates that you've purchased or something like that. Now, it is pretty much impossible to review Blackout without comparing it to other battle royales, specifically PUBG. And obviously Fortnite does share some similarities, but the building, third-person gameplay, drastically different looting mechanics, and the more cartoony style allows it to compete in a somewhat different market or maybe even a different demographic. Really, if Blackout is going head-to-head with any battle royale in particular, it's PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. And the performance in Blackout is very good. I've been playing at a 1440p resolution with a combination of high and medium graphics settings, and it usually bounces between 110 and 150 FPS for the majority of the round. That's pretty damn good, and I'd imagine some of the next-gen hardware will have it hitting a much higher FPS stability. Compared to PUBG, which is still working on performance, there's really no contest here. Blackout plays better. Graphics are also prettier in Blackout, in my opinion. Perhaps less realistic and more saturated, but I'm quite done with the bland, muted color tones of certain gaming genres, and I'm happy to play something that knows it's a game and isn't afraid to saturate its color palette. Now, how about the netcode and animation? Obviously very important to any sort of competitive FPS. This isn't something I've tested extensively, but comparing death cams to what I actually see in game, there does appear to be some significant discrepancies. For example, in this death cam that I synced up with my gameplay perfectly, I then mark the exact moment my enemy sees me to when I see my enemy. And when we're both looking at each other, my opponent sees me almost 500 milliseconds before me. And in fact, when I sync up our reaction times, I actually react faster than my enemy does upon seeing him, but because he's 500 milliseconds ahead of me in terms of when he sees me compared to when I see him, he's actually able to react and get the kill, get a shot off on me before I'm even able to shoot back at him. Now, of course, there could be inaccuracies in the death cam representation, but I think there are some issues with the netcode for sure. The average visual reaction time is 250 milliseconds, with high-skilled gamers dropping to maybe 150 to 200 millisecond range. So if somebody's actually getting a 500 millisecond advantage in any FPS game, It's far less a matter of skill and much more a matter of circumstance. Who has the better ping, who has the peeker's advantage type situation. And that's not good in a game with really fast time to kill or where every kill is super important. You're not going to have that, and so we'll have to see how this plays out in the long run. Will there be some deep dives, some deep studies into the netcode that we can sort of better ascertain how it's actually performing and how much of an advantage some player might have because of their ping versus another player's ping. Now, game design wise, Blackout adds many new fun mechanics and fixes many of the pre-existing issues from PUBG, but it also creates some new ones. Overall, the pacing is really good from the start. The map is small enough that it's very difficult to get a drop where you won't see any enemies at the start, and it's pretty rare that I'll die before finding a weapon. Usually only when I decide to go for a highly aggressive drop do I find myself in the occasional weaponless situation. And even then, I've sometimes survived long enough to grab a gun and fight my way out. Now, towards the mid and end game, things tend to slow down a little bit, and extreme camping mechanics tend to pop up a bit more, at least when playing solos. Sadly, extreme camping is probably just always going to be an element in solo play. What do I mean by extreme camping? I mean players dropping in, not really bothering to search around a lot and gear up, but just getting some basic weapon and then waiting in a shed with your gun pointed at the door.
Relocate to safe zone.
Oh my! I hate people in this game sometimes. How long was he there? Fuck this guy. This is why battle royales suck. Because of players like this. Sure, a skilled player can potentially avoid getting killed by these campers, but even so, when you haven't run into anyone for 5 or 6 minutes, people start to let their guard down just enough so that the camping tactic will still be really effective and just super annoying. I'd love to see some anti-camping mechanics built into a battle royale, but at the moment I think we just have to accept that in solos this kind of bullshit camping is going to happen pretty frequently. The squad play stuff is excellent though. A built-in compass, good revive mechanics, easy to share ammo and tell how much body armor and health your teammates have. There are a lot of ways for players to work and coordinate and try to win the game together. Many of the overall gameplay mechanics do work super well, but there's also some annoying stuff. A few things have crossed over from the standard multiplayer that I don't think work particularly well in Battle Royale. The screen flinching and red screen when taking damage do not work well. Basically, if someone catches you out in the open and starts shooting, the red screen and flinching that's added on top of a fast TTK system, it becomes very hard to come back from a bad situation, even if you're a better player. Compared to Fortnite, where a skilled player can outbuild their way out of a shitty situation, Blackout doesn't give you too many options to change your fate when somebody catches you between cover. Now, you could see this as a good thing in that it allows a lesser skilled player to kill a better skilled player if you catch them out in a bad situation enough, but from a competitive angle, it could certainly be seen as a bit more annoying. Body armor is still kind of ridiculous. The damage mitigation offered by high-level body armor is really extreme, and it wouldn't be as bad if more people had body armor, but the problem becomes that early and mid-game body armor is more prevalent, and I can use it to win some early game firefights, but by the time I make it to the end game with maybe 4 or 5 kills under my belt, the odds that I still have body armor are really low. The problem is that the more engagements you have mid to end game, the circle's moving faster, you have less time to loot and look around, and when you kill your opponents, you almost always shoot off their body armor. So you start coming out of each firefight lesser and lesser equipped, and that, in my opinion, is a big issue. You should be rewarded for winning more and more firefights rather than being punished, which is what's happening with the body armor situation. PUBG doesn't have this issue because the durability of the body armor is decent enough so that usually when you kill somebody in a firefight, you can at least take some of their damaged body armor away from it and use that to sort of continue on and not be at a massive disadvantage in your next firefight. But that is not the case here in Blackout. And that's something that could easily be fixed by just increasing the durability of the body armor. But in its current state, it does kind of suck for a lot of the endgame stuff, because I've been in a top 2 situation multiple times now where my opponent had level 3. I had no body armor, and I simply lost the firefight because I didn't have the armor. A player with topped off health and level 3 armor can basically tank twice as many shots. So my opponent can make twice as many mistakes as me during a firefight if I don't have that armor, which again is a bit extreme in terms of damage reduction. So that would be my biggest critique of game balance, especially for solo play, where, firefights are decided in a split second. You don't have any options for teammates coming to back you up or strategizing. It's all about that split second firefight, and the body armor makes all the difference right there. Now, the perk system being integrated to Battle Royale is really cool. Using different perks to get advantages or play the game in different ways is fun. Perks like Paranoia that let you know when an enemy is aiming at you really help you cross open fields and get around with being a little bit less afraid of who might be watching you at any moment. Is there a sniper looking at you? Paranoia will let you know. There's some really cool intel abilities that you can have with perks. The downside is that I feel like some of them are a little bit overpowered or even eliminate the possibility for a tactical response. The silent movement perks are really cool, except that in a battle royale, sometimes sound is the only thing between you and a purely chaotic gaming experience. I've died instantly from silent perk users that when I watch the replay back, all I can say is that I still played it perfectly and strategically. There was nothing I could have done to know that somebody was about to flank me. When you have something in a game that gives you an advantage by taking away your opponent's ability to play intelligently, I don't know, that just kind of rubs me the wrong way in terms of designing an overall strategic skill-based game mode. Again, these perks are less of an issue in squad play, but solo play, there's a lot of massive advantages, and I feel like I'm enjoying the solo play experience far less than I am the squad play because of it. When it comes to controls, binding the sliding function on PC isn't great since I use my crouch key to slide while I'm also running, but it only works if I bind it to change stance/slide, which is one of the options in controls, and it means that sometimes I go prone when I'm trying to slide. Like if I get stuck on a corner or something while trying to sprint and then hit the slide key, I just go prone like an idiot. Not ideal. Inventory management is also pretty annoying. Even once you get a little bit more used to it, it's just not efficient compared to the other major battle royales out there. For example, only being able to see one weapon at a time in inventory and having to switch between your guns manually makes it very difficult switching attachments between weapons. Also, there's no quick key for using different meds or cycling through your different meds in your inventory without having to actually open your backpack, and same goes for grenades and gadgets. Creating quick keys for swapping between these gadgets and stuff would be nice. That way, mid-firefight, I don't have to open my backpack and switch to the tactical grenade that's more appropriate for that situation. It's kind of obnoxious, and they should definitely have a quick key for this sort of functionality. Anyway, the issues I'm mentioning here are relatively easy to test and fix. I haven't seen how Treyarch's dev team responds to community feedback and stuff like that, but I imagine they'll probably come to many of the same conclusions. Furthermore, none of the issues here are game-breaking launch issues, so the game is still highly addictive and a total blast to play. If you like battle royales, I think Blackout has set a new quality standard for the rest of the industry to live up to, and I can already imagine that so many of the other battle royale projects are thinking about how their titles are going to live up to this one. Battle Royale has been a bit more of a controversial gaming topic as of late because it's really taken over so much of what people are interested when it comes to shooter games and whatnot, and I know a lot of people just aren't into battle royales. Obviously, if you're not into battle royales, you're not going to enjoy this battle royale, but if you like the battle royale concept and you wanted to see a more modern, updated, fresh take on it, then Blackout is absolutely going to be a game for you. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think if you've been playing battle royale in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.